Satnam, and welcome everyone back to the podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Matias de Stefano finally. It's been like years that I've wanted to have conversations with you, a conversation with you. I discovered you back in, I think it was 2019 or 2020. I took a class. You taught a class, and it was all in Spanish. And there's a whole story behind why it was so significant for me to discover you. But since then, you have honestly been the one of the greatest teachers. And I say that because when I discovered you, I mean, I think you know now, but I was also born in Argentina. And
Hmm.
I had a pretty crazy um, uprooting. Like I was born in Argentina, and then when I was 8 years old, my family decided to move to the United States. And after that, life was just so weird because I felt like I didn't know who I was for the longest time, for many, many years. And I had already started on my spiritual path, and when I discovered you, and it blew my mind that you were also Argentinian, like just hearing you talk Spanish, and I was like, what the hell? This is so crazy. Like, what is happening right now? And it wasn't just that, it was everything that you were actually talking about, right? Like you were talking about ancient Atlantis and Egypt and all this stuff that I don't know. It's so crazy, but I'm just really happy to finally get to sit down and just like have a conversation with you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So first question I have, I mean, this is such a beautiful, when you came on, I'm like, wow, look at that background. Where are you right now?
I'm in Aswan, in the Nile, Egypt,
I
as
love,
usual.
yeah, right. That's so crazy. When was the last time you were there? Was it February?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was in February.
yeah, that's when I met you at that weird hotel.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that was a
exactly.
crazy trip. Yeah, that was a crazy trip with Robert Grant. But it's kind of synchronistic too because this morning, so I live in Arizona and
Hmm.
we live in the desert. My husband and I are building a house, and obviously every night we get the sky. And I'm an astrologer, and I love, all the astrology, human design, jinkies, all those systems. Like I love them. And coming here and living out here and every night being able to see the stars the way that they're so bright is like phenomenal. It makes
Yeah.
up for all the crazy stuff out here in the desert. But this morning I woke up to the coyotes howling, and I heard the hummingbirds too. And I looked outside and I saw Venus and Jupiter. So Venus right now, she's the morning star. And she's actually
Hmm.
today, she's going to enter into the sign of Cancer. And it's significant because
Uh-huh.
Jupiter is in Cancer right now in the tropical. So today
Hmm.
begins her journey where her and Jupiter are going to start coming closer and closer and closer together. And on August 11th and 12th of this month, they actually are going to make a conjunction to Sirius, like
Uh-huh.
exactly at 14 degrees, which is where in the tropical astrology you find the Sirius star. And
Hmm.
we're right in the middle. I mean, it's just so crazy because when I originally was, asking about, oh, when is a good time to meet and, do this podcast, uh, you guys came up with July 30th. And I like didn't even think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, sure, that works, whatever. And then all of a sudden, we figure that like I realized and I saw you creating all the YouTube videos of all the days out of time. And I'm like, what
Yes.
the hell? What is happening? Like, this is crazy. And then also that Venus and Jupiter. And then I wake up this morning and I see them and I'm like, oh my God. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit. Like maybe we can start there because I don't know, somehow I feel like it's a significant thing, reason for us maybe coming together. But what are the days out of time? And Why are they significant? Like, what's the importance of that?
Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see you and hear you just fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No, it's just that that I don't know what is happening, but it can you yeah, because
I can
it got
see you.
the screen
Oh,
got very dark.
oh,
Huh?
it's got to be the lighting.
The
The
screen got very dark, so
so
yeah, it's a lighting, so it's okay. It's okay.
okay, you're good. I can
Too
see you
much. It's
and hear you.
too bright here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very very too bright.
Okay.
Yeah. So well, that's the reason why I'm here. I I when I in when was that in 2020 I started to receive the information of what I was supposed to do here in Egypt for 1 year nonstop. I started to ask what I'm supposed to do, um, um, and when should when I'm supposed to start and everything, and so I've started to receive all this information about a cycle of time that it's needed to be balanced in ourselves, and so I remember that in the Atlantean times, we usually have we didn't count like 350 365 days
Mm-hmm.
week or 64 something.
Mm-hmm.
um we counted 360, the degrees of a sphere, let's say.
Right.
So you have 360 degrees of a sphere, and every degree is a step that yourself has to do in the hero's journey through time and space. So they told me, when you walk that path, there are 10 days. The first moment that the year begins, you have 10 days that you will dedicate to your mind, 10 days after for your soul, and
Mm-hmm.
10 days after for your body. So
Mm-hmm.
it's 30 days of a cycle that that will replicate again in the next cycle and in the next cycle and so on,
Mm-hmm.
until you complete the 12 steps of the 360.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so you walk through the constellation of Leo, Virgo, Libra, and so on, until you complete the whole thing. And then there are 5 days out of time that uh, doesn't represent days, but a no time, no space moment, which is basically the moment of evolution. So the Atlanteans used to say, nothing is a perfect circle. There's always something, a gap, a void that allows you to move on and create the spiral.
Oh,
So from a perception, you have a circle, but actually, when you have a tiny mistake in time, you have the possibility of evolve. So you are not trapped in a circle; you are moving on in a spiral like light.
wow.
So those 5 days out of time are the days in which you can balance the entire circle and to think about what you're going to do in the next cycle.
Mm.
So it's like a point of death and rebirth of the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course the thing is, when do you start a year in a sphere? Because
Right.
there's no, yeah, and there's no barrier for, I don't know, for the sun to say, okay, now it's like now we start the year.
Uh-huh.
That's something that that actually is not true. We started to calculate the year because of the solstice. So whenever we have a solstice, so the sun gets still, that's what solstice means.
Yeah.
So the sun gets still, which means that suddenly the sun is not moving anymore towards the north, but stops for 3 days and then goes back
Uh-huh.
in the precession. It moves backwards. So that moment of stillness is what made humans for thousands of years to know, okay, that's a moment of no return, no, of return. That's a moment of stop and return.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beginning of the new year. So that's why December 21st was
Mm-hmm.
usually the new year. But for other cultures is also June 21st. And for other cultures, it's not the solstice. It's more about stillness in equinoxes. With equinox means to be balanced, to be in equilibrium.
Mhm.
So they count March or September with the equinox.
Mhm.
So now we have 4 moments in which you can start the year.
Mhm.
So, so okay, so according to the culture or to perception, you have 4 moments to begin the year. But I said, yeah, but the Atlanteans didn't use the solstice or the equinoxes. They used another thing,
Mhm.
which was very interesting, and it's the moment when the star Sirius appears again in the sky.
Mhm.
When the star Sirius shows up again behind the sun, because it's been hiding behind the sun during for a long time, and it shows again after the sunrise, or before the sunrise. It shows up for the first time again in a cycle of 6 months. So so Sirius doesn't appear in all the planet at that moment. It starts to appear from around the 20 latitude every day 1 degree more until you reach the North Pole.
Uh-huh.
So, or the 90th degree. So so the new year for the Atlantean Empire started any moment in between mid-July and
Uh-huh.
end of August.
Yeah.
so 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 I was like, okay, this is complicated to calculate, because for every people, for every person in the empire, if you're more south or more north, the year would start a different day.
Mhm.
So they had to create something that was common for everyone. And something that was common for the entire empire was to create one unique structure that summarized the entire planet. And in that specific degree and latitude, longitude and latitude, you can calculate the beginning of all cycles for every civilization 12,000 years ago.
Mhm.
And that point was Giza. They created the Great Pyramid in the 30 latitude, 30 degree. They didn't know about that. They were calculating other things. We have that 30 and 30 today. Um,
Right.
but in the Great Pyramid, so in the Great Pyramid, usually Sirius appears again between the 3rd and the 6th of August. So I calculate. I was looking in the internet, when is that moment in which Sirius starts again to be shown on the sky in the Giza Plateau, and that's August 4th. And I was blown because that's my birthday.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my gosh, now I understand something. It's like, okay, this was, I calculated myself something for me before I was born, because I cannot make this, I cannot make this up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like- so, so, so it was August 4th. So the previous days, meaning 30, 31st July, and 1, 2, and 3 of August, they
Mhm.
represent the 5 days out of time that are the gap between the whole cycle of 360 degrees of the sphere. So since then, I started to celebrate that. Not just as a birthday, but as the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And I started to guide everyone into acknowledge the story of those 5 days out of time and how to follow the cycle. But I think that to not be such a Leo, I will try to do something something else.
I
Because
understand
like,
it because I have a Leo moon. I am Gemini, but I have a Leo moon, so I get it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I organized the entire universe so I can celebrate my birthday with everyone.
Oh my God.
That's very Leo. Um, but no, actually, what I realized is that when you are born and the latitude you are born in the planet is actually your beginning of the year. So I'm using this one because we are relating this to Egypt because of the Great Pyramid and the entire planetary work that we have to do. So
Mhm.
that's why I am like introducing this, because of what it means for Egypt,
Yeah.
and for what Egypt means for the world, of course. But actually, this can be adjusted to your own personal thing. So the
Oh, I
day
love.
you were born is the beginning of the 360 degrees, and the previous days from where you were born are the 5 days out of time.
I
So that
love
can also
that.
organize your year. Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
amazing. Because I remember like when I took that class that you taught, I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2020, but you took that class and you taught basically everything. Like from the beginning to the end. I remember you're like the 9 dimensions and the sacred geometry and the shapes and the like literally everything. And then you made that initiation video or episodes on Gaia TV, and then you like talked about everything, right? So it was amazing for me. I was like, oh my God. But I also remember you talking about the connection between the astrology and like the ancient Atlanteans and how you use your astrology. Like the whole point is you know your soul picks, you know, the sun and the moon and you know wherever everything lands because that's the story you want to, like that's your hero's journey, and your job is to just live out your own unique hero's journey. This is why I love like what I do, because to help people understand what is that story, you know. And
Mhm.
but this was something that I love because it brings it to the personal, and it's like, and I think that all of us as individuals are here if we learn to truly live like our own unique design, like not try to be like somebody else, or you know
Mhm.
fit, they fit here, fit there, but to truly be our own unique, own our own unique design would is what we're supposed to do. I feel
Mhm.
is part. So I love what you just shared about that.
Yeah, it's the the beauty of the design is that we created it to facilitate our experience in this reality.
Mm.
And usually, what happens is when we don't know how to use it, we believe that we have to set ourselves free from it and
Mm.
escape from it and be free from the matrix,
Mhm.
let's say. But this is like buying a suit, a coat, and not knowing how to fit in it. And uh, like, okay, I bought this coat which is for winter, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to wear it. So I will complain about the coat because I'm cold. so um,
Uh-huh.
so I have to set myself free from the coat and throw it away and burn it so I can be free from everything. And now I'm frozen. so um, so basically, that's why I believe that the structures, the systems, the patterns, the matrix that we design, which is not just astrology, but everything that is composing the structure of who you are from the biological point of view, the psychological point of view, cultural, religion, political, I don't know, everything that it surrounds you that shapes who you are, from the quantum level, from the astronomical level, gravity, food, everything, all of that is a compendium of billions of things that are conditioning who you are.
Mhm.
um, and um, and all of that is not something bad. It's
Right.
just that I don't know how to use it. I
Mm.
don't know how to use it. So it's it's like food. Food can kill you if you don't know how to eat it properly, because you can have too much glucose, you can have too much chocolate, too much salt, and everything can create a disease in your body. But in the right dosage
Mhm.
or in the right use, it can nourish your body, your mind, and everything. So this is exactly the same.
Mhm.
And in the Atlantean times, in many, and not just Atlantean, but other many cultures, what they have been doing is to analyze how to use it. So that's why it was so important for them not to get rid of all of it, but to destroy the perception of it, so you can be free using it, which is completely different. In our Western societies, we have this idea that to be free, you have to release. but nature never release, it always recycle.
Mhm.
So you cannot take away something that you don't like because it's not allowing you to do something. um because yeah, it's like saying, it's like, I don't know, it's like plants saying, I don't need oxygen, but instead of giving it to everybody, I will just, administrate it there in my roots for some reason, because, or throw it away under. So no one would use oxygen, we would all die. So what for them is not being used is given to the others as something useful. So there are aspects of ourselves that we believe are bad for us, but it's very useful for others. So it's always a recycle. So we have to understand it. That's why in nature, in ancient times, the civilizations tried to understand the darkest aspects of ourselves and what is the purpose of it,
Mhm.
and not trying to escape from it or to be free from something that we don't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember learning this definitely from you, and also how it correlates to even within the astrology, how every sign has polarity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Aries opposes Libra, Taurus opposes Scorpio, and so on and so forth. And then even within each of those signs, there's like a positive, or I guess not positive in the terms of like good, but just
Mm-hmm.
a light and a dark. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
very precisely how it's not good or bad. It's not about good or bad. It's about what is seen, what is not seen, in
Yeah.
any way. So there's a correlation there. And then depending on like, where you chose to put your sun and your moon and your whatever, these are the themes that you work with throughout life. And yes, that it's not about getting rid of the dark or, getting rid of your demons. It's about just the awareness. I feel like it's all really about awareness. And then it brings
Yeah.
to like that whole concept of like consciousness and what is the mind, and and the laws of the universe, which is like the mentalism law, which is like it's all consciousness. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing how everything is so interrelated.
Yeah. I like for everyone to understand the meaning of becoming aware or conscious about something. Conscious means to put together the cuts. So everything that has been cut or separated now makes sense together.
Mm-hmm.
So when you become conscious, it's not that you are now in another level of consciousness and another level of dimensions, but when you become conscious, it's because you got to the point that you have three things that before were separated for you, and suddenly you make sense of them. Like, oh, this and this and this together make this. And that's a moment of awareness. And then when you know how to use it, you become conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So you become aware of something when you realize about the connection, and then when you know how to use it, you are conscious, which means you put together everything in practice now. Everything that was separated, oh, I got it. Now I put it together and starts to work with it. And you are unconscious when you allow those three things to run you
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know how they're connected. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the program that usually people wants to escape from. It's like, oh, this and this and this is making me bad. No, no, it's just that you are unconscious of it. That's why you're suffering it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that suffering stops when you put all of it together and suddenly you say, oh, this is for this. So now I can act in this sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you don't suffer the process anymore. Um, so since in religion and in science, both of them have been trying to cut pieces to separate. This is wrong. This is good. This is up. This is down. Um, uh, this is truth. This is lie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so because it's been all separated, we forget about the main law of everything, which is mind, as you said. Everything is a perception. And what for you might be truth, for someone else will be lie. And you might say, well, but there are laws in the universe, like, for example, I don't know, gravity, that you cannot fight with because it's like, even if you believe that you can fly, you're gonna fall. So that's yeah, that's a law. But then you go to the quantum level and you say, actually, no, actually, the law of gravity doesn't actually exist. It's just a perception of my structure.
Mm.
So it's another level in which I can say gravity doesn't exist.
So is this,
Because if I could,
yeah.
huh?
No, I was just, does this relate to the dimensions? So like you're talking about like your perspective of where you
Mm-hmm.
are based, and that's why
Yes.
in this reality, say like third dimension, there's gravity, so it feels real,
Mhm.
but then in a different dimension, it's different, like you see it differently.
Yes. In a different dimension, and as I said, in a different dimension. What is dimension? It's a measurement that is different. Is a perspective of something that you cannot see.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, a dimension is an idea uh, that is generated by your five senses. So if your five senses have evolved in this dimension of 3 times and 3 spaces, which is high, wide, and depth,
Mm-hmm.
and past, present, and future. So you have the two holy trinities that creates this third dimension. Um, if you if you have been for billions of years evolving into these perceptions, you're bounded to this reality.
Mm.
But for other dimensions that doesn't project themselves in 3, but they go in 4, so this reality makes no sense. The third dimension makes no sense. So the laws of physics and thermodynamics doesn't work,
Mm.
because the laws of physics and thermodynamics, they work for the third dimension, not for the fourth and fifth and sixth. So that's why also in this concept of separating things, like for example when we were talking, um, um, science says astrology is not real.
Mm-hmm.
What is real is astronomy. And said, yes, in the third dimension, astrology is not real, but in your mind is controlling you. Because for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, our perception of the stars has developed our way to relate in this planet as a species. So, so, so in our subconscious, we have determined a path on how to behave according to where the stars are located. And that's something that animals do when they use the GPS to find the north or the beach, or how the tortoise find where to lay the eggs in the same exact point after years and years, and they find the same place. It's an inner map following the stars and following the magnetical field. So that is something that they don't use science for that. They just evolved for thousands and thousands of years, repeating the same pattern by observing the stars where they were located. That's how they find the path, following the environment. And now it became psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So, so why would you say astrology is not real if for most of the people we live according to that, because we are psychological beings?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when people see things separated, um, mm, you divide everything into truth and lie. But when you go into the multidimensionality of the mind of the being, it's like everything's truth and everything is a lie. so um, so actually, you have to become conscious on how to use all of that so you don't get crazy with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important point.
Mm-hmm.
How to learn how to use it.
Yeah, because a lot of people talk about healing, and then and I've watched this, I'm sure you watched it too, how everyone wants to heal, wants to heal, wants to heal, and then
Yeah.
there's only but I only want to do it in this area. Like I only
Yes, not the rest. Yeah.
right, yeah, not everything, not everything. And then this reminds me also, I remember learning from you about the concepts of expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. And I remember you
Hmm.
telling a story about how, like, where the earth is right now, of humanity, that we're in the process of integration. So, what you were just sharing about the becoming aware, and then that's how you find consciousness, is when you're no longer controlled by those things, but you actually know how to work with them, like what they are and how to work with them. Is
Hmm.
that part of what happens when we are in the integration?
Yeah, the process of integration is awareness. So in the process of integration, just to put the whole concept, these four stages are for every layer of the universe. So um, so everything and every day is expressing something, is expanding something. And when you express means to get out of pressure. So you something within that was locked inside express gets out of pressure. So now it's circulating, which is called experimentation. Experi means to go around. Experi, experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
So the experiment means to now I'm moving around, spinning and checking what can I become in all of this. So I can prove every option until by gravity I fall again into the center, bringing all the options as one, which is integration. So what is integration? What is the process of integration? Everything that I have been creating around, weaving for myself to become, um, are all my tools. Everything that has been by gravity moving myself, like pushing me, now go this way, now go that way, now go this way. So imagine in astrology when we say, oh, I cannot change because I'm a Leo. I always joke with it. So I cannot change because I'm a Leo, so Leos are like that. So when you say, well, I'm like that because of my zodiac sign or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're allowing the stars to determine who you are all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you are basically moved by the environment. So imagine now that instead of the constellation of Leo, it's your father that is telling you every time, like, you shouldn't do this, you should study this, you should get a job, you should blah, 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 blah. So you are following the mandate of your dad, and suddenly you grow up all your life following someone else's rules.
Mm-hmm.
And to get out of that pattern, it doesn't mean that you have to kill your dad or get away from your dad. It means that you have to acknowledge yourself, knowing that your dad is a guide in your life, but just a guide, not someone that tells you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can go to your dad for advice instead of following what he says. Okay, so imagine doing that with Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a Leo. No, I was born under Leo, so I can ask what are the attributes that I can use from Leo for my mission in this world. I am not Leo. Leo is guiding me, so
Mm-hmm.
I can ask for guidance. So when you see that point of view, suddenly you start to be more free from the patterns of your life, because everything that you believe is you is not you. It's just the experimentation that you have been doing around,
Yeah.
and you have been pushed constantly by all the experiment, believing that you are the experiment. So the moment of integration is when you go back to the center and you face all of it, and suddenly you say, oh, all of it was pushing me, but actually it was not me. So now I can use it. I can learn how to use it, how to manage all of that for my own personal growth. Um, and in that moment, you stop saying the stars are telling me what to do, and you say, I look into the stars so I can ask for guidance,
Oh, I
which
love
is
that.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. It completely changes that, like you're saying, that feeling of fate. Like
Yeah.
like you're stuck, like having to do this or do that, and it's like, oh, I can't do anything about it because blah
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. No, I love
Yeah.
this. I love this, like restructuring the perception of it so that we can actually move forward. I mean, whatever is moving forward, right? But I mean,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
progress, like, so actually, this kind of leads to the question of, actually progress itself. What is it? And then the connection to ancient Atlantis and the times now. So one of the things that you taught was you brought out this crystal ball that had the flower of life sphere inside of it. I actually bought myself one, and I planted one here on the property when we came, before we even started building. I did a
Mhm.
little ceremony and a ritual, and I put that a flower of life sphere in the ground. It's still over there, and I go over there and I just kind of hang out. But I remember you pulling it out, and you said something about that the 12,000 years ago, right? Like, speaking of like progress, but through the lens of like humanity, like the people of the earth, and the connection between, like, what's the connection between 12,000 years ago and today and the lifetimes? Because basically, it's like the age of Leo and the age of Aquarius, right? So that's what I remember you talking about. So my question is, what's the connection between the two? What's significant now, and how does that relate to humanity in general and where we're at on the planet?
How to relate the essence of that moment with this
Just what's
moment?
what's the significance of I guess what I remember you talking about was how the Shu,
Yeah.
oh, you were Shu in that lifetime, in or
Hmm.
one of the lifetimes, I think. But then that now you're Matias, and how those two are connected somehow, and that for all of us they
Hmm.
are. So
Yeah.
what's the connection between the lifetimes that we had in Atlantis and the lifetimes that we're having right now in relationship to the age of Leo and the age of Aquarius, but then also humanity as a whole?
Mm. Well, as you said before, every sign has its polarity.
Hmm.
So it's not. I wouldn't say it's an opposite or it's the one against, but is the polarity.
Hmm.
And the polarity is not the opposite, as I said. It's just one thing with two sides, with two points. So Aquarius and Leo, these two, they are this polarity. Um, so they are um, opposites to each other, but actually they are connected to each other, which means that picture this in the way of a chord. So if
Hmm.
you have a chord in a guitar, yeah, a string, sorry. If you have a string in a guitar, so whatever you play in this side eventually will reach the other side. And if they are tuned to one another, they are going to create a note in
Mm.
a specific scale. Okay. So whatever happens in the Leo era is sending vibrations to the Aquarius era. And
This.
the Aquarius era will receive that data, that frequency in the perception, the point of view of Aquarius. So, so from the point of view of this chord, of this string, I can see Leo from the other side, but the
Mm.
same vibration reached me. So whatever I do in this era is gonna also be a reflection of what happened in that other era. So
Mm.
that's why, and if we go in the cycle of when the constellation of Leo and when the constellation of Aquarius affected humanity, Leo was 12,000 years ago. So we have 12,000 years of difference in which we can see that string is pulling 12,000 years of time on a cord, on a string that is connected. So of course you have a whole cycle with many strings that are connecting in different directions. So every era is in a different kind of instrument, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
connecting. So for us, the most direct one, the most the one that creates like you know in astrology when you have this line in between two,
Mm-hmm.
which is an opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like how do you say this word of when they have
Like an aspect?
like a tension, like an yeah, like
Uh-huh.
an aspect of tension.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it means that these two needs to tune each other constantly
Oh.
for it to for something to happen correctly in the middle, while the others creates a triangulation or a square or whatever. These ones create a tension.
Mm-hmm.
So this means that whatever is not finished in Aquarius is going to be done in Leo. Whatever is not done in Leo should be done in Aquarius. So they both will reflect to each other saying, I did it wrong here, but you will do kind of the same. So pay attention.
Ooh.
So the era of Leo was technology, was development of the self. But we did it through Leo, which was hierarchy, which was power.
Mm-hmm.
And Aquarius is developing of the self, but we will do it through networks, through disconnection or connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
So, so, so whatever happened in Leo, it's going to determine how we are going to approach the next 2,000 years in Aquarius. That's why it's so important for humanity to understand what happened 12,000 years ago. And 12,000 years ago was the end of the glaciation. If you go into a scientific record, 12,000 years ago was the end of the glaciation. The end of the glaciation ended with so many lives, not only humans, but animals. The ecosystem changed. Um, the great flood happening. So all those stories that change human perspective, change human history, they they happen around that time.
Mm.
So so it's a trauma that even today we still repeat. Like, oh, the flood when God tried to kill everybody, and now we emerge again, and it was everything was cold, but suddenly it was too hot, and the civilizations fell because the waves and the weather changed, and the technology consumed humanity, and blah blah. And that's kind of what it sounds again.
Mm-hmm.
Like for 12,000 years, no one had the problem until now again. So um so that's what kind of speaks to you on how linked we are with that story. Now I would love to go. This is the third dimension. Now I would love to go to the fourth dimension of it.
Mm-hmm.
In the fourth dimension, it's not a past life, it's still happening.
Mm.
So the whole wheel of time is working for eternity. It's crazy, but the best way to understand the fourth dimension is when you're getting close to a black hole, and as you are being consumed by the darkness of the black hole, suddenly instead of being destroyed, you actually freeze in time.
Mm.
So so from the point of view of the black hole, you are disappearing by freezing in time forever.
Oh.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
um that's kind of crazy. So imagine that every moment in every history of every planet exists constantly being destroyed in a black hole of time. So so which makes you understand that actually I never had a past life. This life is actually ongoing.
Mm.
And the only reason why I remember it is because in the third dimension I perceive that as a past.
Mm.
And the only reason why I connect with it is because there's a string in between my genetical codes, in my cells, in my organs, that are linked in frequency with that living being in that specific time. Because as science now know, there are protons, electrons that vibrate here and they change in another galaxy at the same moment.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. That's right.
yeah. So the entanglement of particles.
Mm-hmm.
So that entanglement is not happening randomly in between galaxies. It happens between all of us. And that's how we are all connected, because there are a lot of particles in me that are particles, the same particles that are vibrating and living right now in Shiu 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that like makes your mind go like turn into
Yeah.
like mush.
Yeah. It's the beauty of this universe.
Wow, this actually makes me wonder. So when you started to remember, right, when you were little and you started to remember this specific past, because I know you've remembered other ones, but this one specifically is very significant, right? Because it was Egypt and all of that. Do you think that there was like, what do you think happened? Like, what allowed you to remember? Was it like a door that opened to the fourth dimension? Like what was it that helped that you remembered? That you saw it, like
Well,
became conscious of what was going on.
yeah, there are many layers of it, but I would share one of the things that
Hmm.
happened, of why exactly. In that time, in specific moments, not every year, but specific moments, every certain amounts of time, there used to come from other solar systems, through representatives. So they usually came very hidden, all covered, and it was a special moment where we received them, and they came to just to speak with us and to have kind of certain communications in that time. But it was not like I don't know, hey, how's the weather? It was not like that. They wouldn't speak much. They would speak mainly by observing us, but we were not allowed to stare at them. um that's why they were always covered.
Mm.
We were not allowed to stare at them. And I was my mother and my grandmother were in charge of our region in that moment, because it was a circle of women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my mom entered in a depression because my dad was killed, actually in this region, where more south, but my dad was killed in that. So she entered in a depression, and I was like 14 or something, and I had to take her place. So I was in the meeting, uh, because she couldn't be there. Um, so I took her role in that meeting, and because I was so nervous, I I froze and I got staring at them,
Mm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So and one of them saw me, and we stared for a moment. And when you stare at them in their eyes, it's like if you are seen without time. So it's like it's a very weird situation. It's like I don't know, it's like a very psychedelic
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, where everything bends and whoa, like something
yeah.
like that. So you don't know if the being is there or not, and suddenly you are inside his eye, but his eye is showing you different options of what would happen. So it's like a lot of things.
Wow.
And 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 when she saw that, because that being was also connected by strings with her and with me, I saw the same here. I saw the same eyes
Oh
and
my
the same thing.
God. Oh, I just got chills.
Yeah, and that's how
Oh my God.
everything opened. Yeah.
Okay, but was it meant to be? Was it
Yes.
you know what I mean? Because now your whole life is like, this is what you do.
Oh yeah.
That's the reason why, like, because you started to remember.
Uh
So
huh.
what was it meant to be? That mistake, was it actually meant to be?
It's meant to be. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, meant to be. it's a beautiful entanglement of so many layers and things that are so complicated to explain in a sentence. Because it's like, oh, can you explain me why you remember this? Well, in which dimension? Like, in which dimension should I explain this?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow. No, this is that wow, that was so cool. I literally got chills when you were talking about that. I get it now because I've always wondered, like what makes this happen? What makes that happen? Like there's just certain
Yeah.
moments like in our lives that are so important. Like for me personally, like
Hmm.
I was sharing with you in the beginning about like a little bit about my story of when I moved to the United States. Okay, so we were born in Argentina. My mom grew up in Mar del Plata, and she had a
Hmm.
very she was her childhood was very it was horrible. Like they were poor. Her and her brothers ended up at one point in like an orphanage. My grandma couldn't take care of them. I mean, she hated Argentina. She was like, "Get
Hmm.
me out of here!" Right? So
Out of it.
that was my mom's side, right? My
Yeah.
dad, though, my dad's family originally came from England, Southampton to Argentina, and then they were successful, meaning they
Hmm.
like my great grandfather bought a bunch of land or acquired a bunch of land in Los Hornillos, and it's like the land goes up to I don't know if you've ever been to La Ventana or if you've ever done that hike,
Yes.
the Pampa. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Los Hornillos right there, like my family owns all that land, and they some of it they gave like the pool that's there. There's like a community pool. They
Hmm.
donated that to the city or whatever. Anyways, so that's kind of where my dad like I got married right there in 2019 during lunar not a lunar a total solar eclipse in Cancer that went right by there, like we saw it during it was crazy.
Wow.
I'm crazy like that.
Amazing.
I'll do crazy shit like that. So it was like, yeah, we're gonna get married in Argentina on the total eclipse. Everybody
Of
loved
course.
Yeah, everybody loved it because they were like, what the hell? Like nobody does this. But
Yes.
I was like, I'm gonna do it on that day, and everybody's gonna like flip shit. But
Yeah.
anyways, so all these crazy things, right? So my dad didn't want to leave Argentina. He was an architect. If you've ever been to Villa Dolores, there's a sculpture that when you
Mhm.
when you drive in, there's a little roundabout. You drive in, and then there's a sculpture of like these three sort of beings that unite in the top as one. It's like
Mhm.
the sculpture that you see when you drive into Villa Dolores. My dad designed that and built it. And I actually saw
Wow.
one. I saw one. I kept seeing one in Egypt.
Mhm.
I was like, what is happening right now? And it was all around the time where like the second trip to Egypt that I got to go to in May with Robert, and then the whole architect thing
Mhm.
came up because my dad is an architect. And
Mhm.
it's all intertwined. Like it's hard to be like throw all these years into like five sentences, like you said.
Yes.
But the story is like my dad didn't want to leave. My mom was like, I got to get out of here. We left, and that the day that we got on the plane and we left, my grandmas were like having this like telenovela moment where like they were like slapping each other. I don't know, one slapped the other one. The glasses came off. They were like it's tu culpa, like, it's your fault, it's your fault. Like it was the drama of the century. And then we left, and then we landed in California. And my mom had been there. Yeah, my mom had been there for 6 months. She was a few months in New York, of all places, and she was working at McDonald's. And then
Uh-huh.
and then she was like, "Fuck that!" And then she was like, "No, California," because we had one uncle in New York and one uncle in California, like the two opposite ends. She,
Yeah.
she didn't like New York. She was like, California is it. Okay, we're gonna do California. So we landed in California, and from that moment on, for me, what I experienced was like, if you can imagine this tree that was grounded and rooted in the earth, and it just went, and I was happy. I was a happy kid.
Mm.
I loved it. Like I was just a happy kid. It was like like the tree was like taken out and then like put over there in the United States, and it was like we had to learn English. I mean, we were little, so it was fast, but
Yeah.
still, it was terrible experience because I was like, I don't know who I am, and it's like, am I
Yeah.
Argentinian? Am I American? Am I this? Am I that?
Mm.
I stopped learning. Like, there's a lot of vocabulary that I don't even remember. Like in
Mm.
Spanish, it doesn't come to me in
Yeah.
Spanish because I'm like, I stopped at 8 years old, and then
Yeah, of course.
everything started in English. It's like so. Anyways, as an adult, I'm on the other side of that, but there's still pieces of me that I'm like, what was that for? What was that
Yeah.
for? Why that? Because that one experience changed my entire trajectory of my life. And I mean,
Yeah.
now I'm starting to understand. So when and I had this whole thing going on, like, who am I? Who am I? What the hell? You know? And then I found you. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, hold on a second. Who is this guy? I was like, he's Argentine. And then you were like talking, in Spanish and, with the accent and everything. And I was like, what is happening right now? And so there was this like moment of like, wah, wah, like you were talking about. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know. You know what I mean? Like I still, but I was like,
Yes, yes.
I'm all in. I was like, I'm all in.
All this,
Somehow,
all this process, all
yeah,
these processes that
yeah.
we don't understand, and they,
Somehow
yeah,
you brought something together for me, like the identity loss. It was like, no, but there's this guy here and he's like kind of my age and he's spiritual, whatever, and he's talking about all these things and I believe him and you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, like it was crazy. Like, so that's why you somehow played this really significant role in my life to help me integrate that whole experience of being ripped out of Argentina, land,
yeah.
going, it was crazy. But anyways, I've always wanted to tell you that story.
Also, so crazy. Yeah, so crazy that uh, I think that so many people just go through all these immediate changes that makes no sense for many years, but actually they have such a perfect um, calibration for the entire tapestry of what is needed that that we cannot even think about. Like when I was 14 years old in Argentina, I remember my guides show up one day and they said to me um, at home, soon your life will change. You will have to move somewhere else. It's part of the plan. So whenever they say to you, we leave, you say yes.
Mm,
And I was like, wow, okay. And that afternoon, my mom comes home and says, and says, I want to speak to you because we might move to Spain.
mm.
And for me, it was like, sure. It was like this immediate like, okay, yeah, sure, that's what we need to do. And of course, yeah, for me it was also like you said, moving to Spain in the middle of winter. They all spoke another language because it was Catalan, it was not Spanish.
Mhm.
So for me also was like, okay, I have to adapt to this, and it was a very huge depression and not knowing what to do. But of course I had this help of listening to my guys telling me like, this is the way, learn this, be patient with that. And and they were like teaching me slowly uh, how everything was making sense of why I needed to practice this, makes friends with that. And so of course most of the people cannot or don't have the chance to see the tapestry of why you are there. But I the only different thing that the only different thing that I have is that I was able to see that, but it's not just because it happens to me. So it has happened to everyone. So I think that what it's beautiful about sometimes sharing my experience with people like you that share your experience in this way is that is happening. Like there are so many things happening that if you are energetically anchored in this place and you don't move in that specific moment to another place, it's like when you said or when you said I wanted to get married in this location because of the eclipse. Now you manage that situation, but when you move to the States, maybe there was another eclipse and you don't remember about it.
Oh, no,
You
okay.
never thought about it.
I know, but there was. But there was.
Okay.
Because I started writing a book and it's about
Uh-huh.
my life. And I'm taking the major astrology things like what happens the first 7 years, what happens the next seven
Oh
years,
yeah.
what are the big things like Saturn return, blah, 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 blah. And I was looking and looking and looking. And I had a conversation with my dad, like literally just the other day. And I was like, tell me what happened. Like, just tell me the story again. And he was like, well, you know, this and then that. And then all of a sudden we were both crying. I mean, it was beautiful. Like, I was like, what's happening? Because again, I'm like in the writing of the book, I'm like healing. And then I
Yeah.
go back into the astrology, and the literal day that we left was a full moon in Virgo. And it wasn't an eclipse, but I'm like, what are the chances, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Like, of
Yeah,
course,
those
full moon.
things,
Yeah.
those things you have to like pay attention to it. But of course, when you are 8 years old or when you are living in a crisis or whatever, you don't pay attention to, oh, where is the moon? You don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but there are so many things happening that are moving all of this. Like when I was in the university once, and I tried to I tried to study once. Uh, and yeah, it was a mess. But my guides told me to come back to Argentina. I knew that the plan was that after I finished school in Spain, but I wanted to stay in Spain. But they said, no, you better go there because of this, this, and that. So yeah, I understand. So I went back. I was there for 2 years. I loved the university, but I never understood the way it worked. So I studied. Teachers loved me. My partners in school, I helped them to study for every exam, but I never understood when were the exams. So I was like 2 years and a half studying the university. I never took an exam.
What?
And then when yeah, because it's different. I didn't understand that you have to just, I don't know, to go and note your name that you are going to be there in the class. I just went to classes and tried to learn something. So yeah, so by the second year I understood this is not my thing. uh so yeah, but and plus I was following the lunar calendar, so I never match any day of exams. So, so for me, for me, it was like, okay, oh, today's
You've just been
whatever.
living, you've been living in like 5, 10 different worlds at the same time your whole life.
Yeah, constantly.
Like,
Yeah, so
yeah.
different layers all the time. So so I remember one of the last days that I was in the university, my guides show up in sociology class, and like randomly, and they just crossed the wall and they said, it's time, you have to leave. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? It's been 2 years without speaking with them. I was like the random normal guy, well, normal trying, but I was doing my best in Rio Cuarto in Cordoba. And so I was doing my best there, and I didn't hear from them for 2 years, like silence. So they basically, the first day of the university, said, now learn how to be a human. So I went, paid taxes, I went to the supermarket to cook, and bicycle to the university, trying to well, all of these things. And suddenly they show up in sociology class after 2 years. I was like, what? And they said, you have to leave. And I said, why? They said, because of the conjunction of I don't know which planet, the conjunction of this planet. If you don't do this next month, you will have to wait for 5 more years
Ooh.
until you are able to do this. And I'm like, well, I will
Girls.
wait because I need a title, because
Oh.
not because otherwise no one will believe me if I'm not licensed in something or whatever. And they said, you have to leave. You have to leave. There's no time for that. And you already learned what you need to learn here. Now just move on. So I denied. I said no. And when I said no, I woke up in an ambulance going to the psychiatrist.
What?
Yes, I was like, what happened? So apparently I fainted in class and I started to draw all in Atlantean.
Oh my God.
And yes, so they got me crazy for 1 week, um, until it was like very terrible, and they said, so now yes. And I was like, and I was like,
God.
you know what? Okay, I'm gonna leave, but from now on, I'm not gonna move a finger. Now you solve everything. I said, I'm gonna sit down at my grandmother's house. And if I have to go back to Spain, because they said you have to go to Spain to start this and do that and blah blah. And I said, so if that's the case, then you pay me the ticket, you get me the ticket, you tell me where to go, but you bring me the people that will bring me to those places. It's like I will be here sitting. So I was like sat down, and 2 days after they call me from the Catalan center of my city, and they tell me, hey, we know that you're the only young person that knows Catalan in the hometown, in our hometown, and there is a meeting in Barcelona, and we want for you to represent us there, so we want to pay you the ticket to
Of
go
course.
there.
Of course.
And I, and I was like, okay. So that's that's how I ended, where they told me doing what I was supposed to do, blah blah blah, so many things. But those crazy and terribles and crazy things that happen sometimes, that why is this happening to me, why I cannot finish this, or why there's an accident, why I cannot get there, or why I don't know, all the conflicts and possible shit that happens in your life that you think, why did this happen to me? Well, there is a whole conjunction of billions of data happening around all the time to locate you exactly where you're supposed to be. And exactly 1 month after was my first talk. They invited me to explain my story, and someone recorded it and was in YouTube. So that's how it started.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So
I can't
if
even
I wouldn't have done that,
I can't even imagine what life, because I feel like it's crazy enough for me. I am a projector in human design. I don't know how familiar you are with like the different types, but
a little
in
bit.
human design, I'm a projector. So essentially, the projectors are, they call them the guides. They are the ones that can, they're essentially, they can see into people. The aura of the
Mhm,
projector is penetrating and absorbing. So when you're around a projector, it's like the projector becomes you. It's a really weird
mhm,
experience. That's like my design, right? So my whole
yeah,
life, I'm living around these crazy people. And I call it crazy people because, you know, if you're like raised by Argentinians, no, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm around these like crazy people. And, you know, my mom's all wild and emotional and all this stuff. And she was a lot of the big reason why I was so confused. And I'm feeling everything, everyone around me. And I thought, you know, I felt crazy for the longest time until I figured out, oh, okay, it's because my energy does this. Every time I'm around someone, I'm like, this is what's happening. I'm, you know, penetrating and absorbing. And so my life has been crazy because of that, because of not knowing that, and then feeling like, what the hell is wrong with me? That I'm
Yeah.
so sensitive. Like my dad told me one time, he was like, you know, I thought you were going to be the weak one. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, what the hell?
The weak one.
Yeah, he's like, I thought you were the weak one because you were so sensitive. Like
Yeah.
everything, you're crying. Any little thing, you're crying, you know? And like, and I thought your sister was going to be the strong one, you know? And he's like, and now I realize, no, you are the strong one. And I was like, yeah, I told you. I was like, I told you, like, there's something, I was like, there's something powerful about just, you know, being so open to feeling everything. There's a gift in that, right? Like there's a gift, but at the
Mhm.
same time it was crazy. So anyways, I was just saying that I can't even imagine what it was like for you to have to like change, you know, course in the from one day to the next because you were listening to these spirit guides that I'm sure there, I mean, for a lot of your life you're probably like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? You know what I mean? Like, what's is this really happening? I mean, so like I can't even imagine what that was. And I love one thing that I just want to say, like, props to you because you were like, all right, I'm all in. Like all of a sudden you're like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna do it. I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it all. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
stop. And you haven't stopped. You have
Yeah.
not stopped. So like, wow, you know? Most people
Yeah.
would have just stayed in the psychiatric ward, you know?
Yeah. A little bit more. Yeah. Just a little bit
You
more.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
It
lot.
was
I'm
the day I went to the psychiatric, the mental hospital, that I just woke up there, like in the ambulance with, what is going on? I think it was a joke from the universe, of course, saying like, we can make this happen. So the universe can make this happen if you're not aligned. So
Right.
I was like, okay, so you better align fast. It was very funny because when I woke up, the psychiatrist that was with me, she was having um, a pendant here, a necklace. And when I woke up, I saw it, and it was Anubis.
Oh my God.
And I was like, and I look at it and said, oh gosh. I was like, okay, time to die. And I said, where did you get that? And I said, I don't know, someone just gave it to me. I was like, well, so so we started to talk about it, and then they opened the ambulance, and this guy that was locked in the psychiatrist in this in psychiatric place,
Hmm.
um he was an intern, like
Yeah.
someone that was yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
treated there, but he wanted to help. So he just came up and opened the door to help. And I was I was a student in the university, so so at that point no one knew me, no one knew who I was or anything. But he opened, and he was like one of the crazy people living there. So he opened, and he was like, oh, you were born. And he was like, welcome, we were waiting for you. And 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 the psychiatrist was looking at me and looking at him and said, do you know him? And I said, no, I don't know him. He was like, do you know him? Not now.
Oh my God.
And he was, and he was like, I also couldn't, I'm connecting, but I don't know how to handle it. That's why I'm here.
So all of a sudden everyone's like, are we in the wrong world?
We're in the wrong world. Yeah, so the psychiatrist was like very interested in what was happening, because it was like, this is not normal. I never experienced this. But yeah, for me the thing is that being able, since I was a child, being able to have so much help from other dimensions, so much support, because that's what makes me never stop, like trust so much. Because for example, I remember when I was 6 7 years old, and I would feel sad because something that a friend of mine told me, and I came home, like a kid, like like this, and I would start, in the in at the door of my house, like almost crying and very mad. And an angel without wings, just like a normal person
Yeah.
but translucent,
Hmm.
would come sit aside me without touching me or anything, just sit aside me and said, tell me, how do you feel? And so I was able to speak to them and say, well, he did this to me and blah blah. And but I'm asking how that made you feel, not what he did. What do you feel? So basically, I had psychologists from the fifth dimension every day of my life. So that's that. So I was 6 years old, and they were like helping me psychologically. Um, they were helping me in understanding how to forgive them, because they don't understand, they are growing up. Like, I remember these moments of them explaining me they are just growing up, trying to understand how to relate with you. And so sometimes kids, they act in ways that they don't actually mean to. So all this psychology of also telling me, like, when I was afraid of going to school, so he said, so they were teaching me, like, going there as a safari excursion. Like, imagine that you're from another world and you have to learn how humans work so you can tell to the others. So for me, it was like fun then go to school, because I needed to learn about how humans speak, how humans history was, how, I for me, it was a game going to school then.
Hmm.
um so I had so much support from beings from another dimension that I know that most of the people don't have all the time.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
that helped
Most
me.
people
That
don't.
Yeah, most people don't have. Um, that helped me to for my process to last 2 3 days. and then I'm on it again.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's move on, let's go. And because I had all this background since I was a child of psychology, of support, of understanding, of questioning, of understanding that there's bigger things than this, that the universe is not God, that the universe is everything. So there has been so much support in so many levels,
Yeah.
because they trusted my mission, what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
That of course I wouldn't be able to push all this step by step uh, without the background. So for me, I think, and that's also for every parent, I would say, um, the first 7 years old or 14 years old of my life, I was having all of these connections, everything, but I also had a lot of support of my mom listening to me,
Yeah.
allowing me to be creative, not telling, don't tell these things. Um, I had friends that had a lot of fun with my stories. They came to my house to basically like listen what to do today, like what is Matthias' story for today. So okay, we have this adventure, we have to go to that tree, we have to do this, blah blah. So for and also other beings from other dimensions telling me this is what happens, this is what you should learn, in a few years you will do this, so how do you feel today. So I had so much support from so many dimensions, that my
Everyone
first
was on
7 to
board.
14 years old, I was always like, you go, you go, and I think that created my structure um to non-stop and
Yeah.
not to doubt about
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Like you were in school, but you just weren't in human school. You were like in some kind of interplanetary, but
yeah,
interdimensional school. Everybody was on
yeah, of course.
board. Everybody
Yeah,
was.
because of course a lot of people say well, Matthias who remembers his past life. No, actually, since I was born, I was in a school with fifth dimension beings,
Yeah.
fifth dimensional beings that taught me and accompanied me for all these years until I was 12 years old. And they told me, now you will start to remember.
Yeah.
So it was a whole previous thing that is not just at my 12 years old.
Hmm.
So that I think that that's also an important aspect of what happened, and also why it's so important for kids to have imaginary friends. Yeah,
Oh, no, I completely agree. This is like this is you're the example of what happens when kids are allowed to be kids. Like when somebody's allowed to just explore and be themselves, and like, which I feel like is what we all came here to do. But then the structure in society and the rules and the this and the that and
yeah,
just become like rocks, and that
yeah,
it's so hard to like, we got to break the rock and find like the playfulness inside again. But you're like the example of what happens when you do support children in being kids and not forcing them to follow the rules of the world right now.
yeah. I Yesterday I was talking with a friend about that, because most of the people that knows me, they usually say, they usually try to take care of me as if I was a child. Um, like, and I say, next week I'm gonna be 38. Like, I'm not a child anymore. Um, but because I was able to connect so much with my inner child, because
Yeah.
of that support from so many dimensions, I built everything by playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if for me it's a mission, I play with it. So for me, it's like a game. Like, oh, I'm creating a map for people to play with me, somehow. So I did everything thinking as a child. Sometimes, like I believe that most of my life I am like a child. I have these illusions. I play with it. The other day I was saying, I was organizing a whole project that I have, uh, while waiting in lines in Disney World. So like,
I want to go to Disney
like,
World.
I never stopped working, but never stopped playing.
Yeah.
Like you have to have balance in both. So I
Yeah.
decide to create so many ideas there. And for example, many of the wow crazy ideas that I got was while I was in Tomorrowland, because someone invited me there to party, and I was like, I'm not a party person, but when everything is in movement and place and colors, I start to have so many ideas. So so um
Tomorrowland.
yes, it was like, oh, cool.
Funnier.
So so I think that it's the thing that when you allow yourself to be a kid all the time,
Yeah.
even if with some responsibilities of adulthood, of course, but when you allow yourself to be always a kid, yeah, sometimes I still behave like a kid, and for me it's like, I don't know, it's healthy for me.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think we've completely lost that. So many
Mm,
people, I think at the end of the, they're getting close to the end of their life, and then they're like, what the hell with it? What was it all? Why did I work 9 to 5? You know what I mean? Like, and followed all these rules and did all the things right for what? It's
yeah,
like, where was the magic?
exactly.
Where was the fun? Life wasn't even fun. I think
Oh yeah,
it should
totally.
be fun.
No, totally. I saw, I don't know, I saw in my school so many people that had nines and tens, or A+, how do you call it? Uh,
Hmm.
in-
Hmm.
um, like all this high grades and stuff, and they were like behaving and doing everything as much and as possible. I had one of my friends was like that, and then and I was the crazy one. Like, oh, Matthias is a little bit crazy and blah blah. So you should behave. You should do your homework and 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 he was also complaining because I was so bad at English. Like I didn't understand anything in English. I was like nothing in English, and he was like 10 in English, and I was like literally 0.1. My teacher hated me. Um, it was funny because my teacher, it was a very old woman from England in Argentina, and she was called Elisa Simpson, which was like very funny, and 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 she always speak in English, and I couldn't understand anything she was saying ever, and so I saw these people like so concerned about um, being good for the teacher, being good for the system, and like that. And now I see him, and it's an old person. Like it's a very old person, uh, taking medication for a psychiatrist because of so many problems. Um, um,
Wow.
he stopped studying science and now he's evangelic. So it's like what is
Wow. Yeah.
so and he lives this mm, life that is just go to make a course and then go back to eat and then sleep, and so it's like such a and then I'm now doing interviews in English, going around the world and doing so many things and projects and blah, 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 and everywhere. And it's like just because I allow myself to keep playing and not trying to fit in, So
Yeah.
and I've seen so many people like that. So many people trying to to be responsible with a system that is not even theirs.
Mm.
Um, um, yeah, so many kids lost in the process of education.
Oof. Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's not do that. Let's inspire people to be free,
Mhm.
to play, to live life, to go explore, to just say freaking yes. See what
Yeah.
happens, You're not gonna die, and if you die, whatever, you'll probably just come back.
Well, you will die anyway, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly right. No, I want to
Oh,
thank you so much. Yeah. Matthias, this has been
thank you.
so freaking fun. I don't want to keep you. I know you have some other things to get ready for, but I just want to say
Yeah.
like this was amazing. I have been literally waiting forever like really patiently, like one day, one day I'll have a conversation with him and it'll be amazing. And just this my little side of the world, but it's been amazing. You really have inspired me so much. And you have inspired a lot
Right.
of people because everything that I learned from you, I use in my teachings. I share like it's spreading, you know, and I'm very grateful to have found you. I'm very grateful to have learned all these things from you because you really just kind of realigned my life and you didn't even do anything. You know what I mean? Like you're just being you, but by being you and fully living in your design, you have inspired so many people and you still continue to do so. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yes, well, good luck with everything. Have fun in Egypt, and I'll be watching the Days Out of Time
Yeah.
videos and celebrating with you. And happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And yeah, if there anything else you'd like to share or say, feel free. If you know if you have anything coming up, any projects, any events coming up that people should know about.
Well, I have so many things coming up. Like, so this 2025 is going to be a whole restructure for the mission in the next 3 years, and I'm going to be sharing that in these 5 days out of time.
Love it.
Um, so a whole mission is coming, and I will be informing everyone in the social media. So please follow the Instagram mainly because I'm going to be sharing everything there.
Hmm.
So yeah, so everyone is in tune with the new path of the I am.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to find out all about it. Well, thank you
of
so much,
course.
and we'll definitely have to
Thank
do
you.
this again sometime.
Of
Have a good.
course, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe more cold because I decided to do the interview outside and it's 100 Fahrenheit.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yes.
you better go get cold now. Thank you again and thank you everyone
Thank you.
for listening.